Alright guys, welcome back to Valorant News. Big updates going down in the Valorant world, especially on the G2 versus Sentinels show match coming up very soon, but also FNS after pseudo retiring from the league at the moment and looking for his next opportunity. It doesn't seem like the content creator life is necessarily going to last for him for all that much longer. He really is getting frustrated with the stream sniping right now in this current act of Valorant. Wants the pro city that Tarik put together earlier this year to return ASAP, and if it doesn't, FNS might have to think, you know what, I've got to get back to competing sooner or later. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, a big rumor going around that the Valorant World Champions will be held in Korea next year. So there's big rumors around this because we know there's a Shanghai Masters event, right, that's kicking off one of the first ones of the season. There's Madrid, there's Shanghai, there's another one going on as well. And there were rumors that Champions was also going to be out there in Asia. I think this makes sense, right, given the fact that there was Champions in Istanbul, right? And then there's Champions in Los Angeles this most recent season. So I guess it makes sense for the Asia Pacific region to get the next Valorant World Championship. Apparently that's going to be probably in Seoul, Korea next year, which probably makes sense. But yeah, just stay tuned for any potential updates on that one into the 2024 season. Now V1, they are looking pretty good at the moment, right? Of course, this team, female roster, very much favoured to be probably winning the Game Changers World Championship. We'll see how that goes. G2 goes, and there's going to be other great teams there. They haven't been winning everything lately, but they've been looking pretty good. And I do wonder how they get on today up against Turtle Troop, because Turtle Troop are a legit great team in Tier 2. We will discuss in a few minutes' time, though, the fact that Turtle Troop are unsalaried. They don't get paid a salary to play. They are on a free agent organization, and there's a lot of talks actually lately that whether Riot should do something to ensure that's not the case, to actually subsidize the existence of the Tier 2 scene. They probably won't. But yeah, so anyway, version 1 were playing some crazy series. They played 0 Marksman Black and it went 21-19 here on Lotus. So yeah, 40 rounds of Lotus, not exactly a great time. And they secured top 4 in the Knights tournament after some good results. Now, the next game that V1 play is up against Turtle Troop. So this was the bracket that was played. Turtle Troop make it through. A couple of 2-1s in there. And yeah, so top 4 secured for both of these teams. But this is going to be interesting because if version 1 keep it competitive here with Turtle Troop and it's actually a competitive series, you know, that might show that they can at least compete on nearly enough that level, and we'll see how it goes. Because the other day, Big talked about G2 goes in, they turned up to those Red Bull EMEA qualifier tournaments, and they got kind of bodied. So, you know, it wasn't a great look really for what was considered to be the best female team in EMEA. Maybe version 1 can kind of, well, prove that they can compete. Because hopefully if they do well here, like, I'd like to see them try again and qualify for challenges next year. Because, you know, that should be, there's lots of teams, lots of spots available. That should be plausible, depending on how well they do in this series today. So looking forward to seeing how that one goes. Now, G2 versus Sentinels. They're playing a show match in a couple of days' time on the 26th of October. And these are the respective, shall we say, like, winning prize pool amounts, whatever you want to say. Because I thought, okay, cash up sponsorship, they'll put some money up here and it'll be all right. Some money on the line. And that makes the teams want to win. You want something on the line here because you actually want G2 and Sentinels to try to see how good they're going to be. People really want to know, are Sentinels like going to look as good now as they did apparently a few months ago? Especially given they've had more time with this team. What are G2 going to do? Are they actually going to play with their coach, or are they going to play with Jorgamo or Leaf or whoever actually is their desired 5th man if they announce it in time, which I think they might well do. So, you know, let's say they put 10k on the line or something. Sure, that's nice. It makes the teams want to win, etc., etc. But I think, honestly, these prize pool situations are actually better because map 1, whoever wins map 1, 1 retweet of the winner's choosing from the loser's accounts. Map 2, the ability to change the loser's Twitter bio, and map 3 winner, the ability to change the loser's Twitter banner. So I guess they're going to play 3 maps anyway, regardless of if it goes 2-0. Okay, maybe if it goes 2-0, they'll call it a day, but they probably will want to play the 3 games to see how the prize pool plays out. And that's pretty good, right? I think this is going to be more incentive to win. Like if you win every single map here, you're going to be cooking, especially given the rivalry that these two organizations have. There's lots of, potential for good banter as a result of this. So looking forward to seeing how that one goes for sure. And as Trent says to Zeltis, hey Zeltis, get ready to change absolutely everything. You are not winning anything, boys, so definitely get ready for that one. Now, this is an update on Fnatic, actually a pretty big one. We've seen over the last few days that Fnatic really it was shortly after the World Championship. Mini, their head coach, decided that he didn't really feel comfortable in that role any longer, wanted to actually be himself a bit more and not just watching VOD and grinding all the time, which I definitely respect his decision. Now, there was a lot of talk as to whether Mini would step down to the assistant coach role and then, someone else steps up as the head coach and Mini stays as the assistant coach. They confirmed just the other day that their assistant coach will not really be Mini, and he's probably going to be stepping away. Whether he gets another spot elsewhere, we don't know. But they're going to get another assistant coach, it seems. They've opened applications for that. But their head coach has now also been confirmed, and that's Elmer Puddy. So he was on Gen.G, I think the most recent season, maybe a couple of seasons. And if you guys don't know Elmer Puddy, to me, as far as I'm concerned, legendary Australian Counter-Strike YouTuber. He would make all these great content pieces back in the day on how players had played certain situations, analysing gameplay. It was fantastic stuff, and his content was massive. He then made a step into coaching, I think maybe briefly for CS, then he went over to VALORANT, and now his CV clearly looks good enough, and they want to sign him to Fnatic, which is a big step, let's be honest, right? Because he's been on decent teams the last couple of years, but not the team that arguably should have been world champions this year. They were heavy favourites to win it. They didn't. They came fourth in the end, and not good enough for where they wanted to be. They are playing the Red Bull Homegrounds tournament soon enough, and Elmer Puddy is going to be their new head coach. Hopefully it works out well for him. Just a note from Kojo here, actually, they did talk about this, and he says that Boaster had a big say in this acquisition and was involved every step of the way. It was one of my priorities to make sure he had someone who was comfortable, happy and confident working with. After 3 years of making decisions, you have an ounce of faith in myself as well. Mini's future is still uncertain. That Twitter space is a bit unsure at the moment. So, yeah, maybe Mini could return as the assistant coach, but it feels somewhat unlikely at the moment. Now, let's talk about this whole FNS thing, because he has been having a hard time over the last few days. The FNS and SOM debate is so crazy in my mind. The fact that they're actually not competing to start this season is pretty wild. They said pretty clearly they wanted to be a duo somewhere and form their own team. There realistically is no team in the world, at least in Tier 1, that's going to give them the keys to do that, and FNS for sure doesn't want to step down to Tier 2. So, the reality is that FNS has forced himself out of the market. There's possibly even a slim chance that he could go back to NRG and say, hey guys, look, maybe let's work this out, because NRG, they need an IGL, their team, Victor Crashy's Marved +2, we still don't really know what they're doing, but it's not going to be FNS and SOM, I imagine, because, they've got kicked, they've decided to leave and do the streaming thing, and that's fine. I've got, no issue with them stepping away, doing streaming, entertaining players for sure, but just from FNS's point of view, if he's having a miserable time, then is it actually worth it to be a streamer all year when he could be competing? So as FNS said the other day, I've never experienced being stream sniped all day. Today was straight up miserable. And then yesterday he doubles down and says, hey Tarik, let's bring Pro City back right now. I promise we'll make it succeed. I simply cannot do this anymore. Which is quite the statement really from FNS, because it's not long ago that he kind of made the call that he was going to stream full time. And now he's streaming full time. Okay, sure, he was going to stream like this anyway because it's off-season stuff and, not on a team officially. But it doesn't seem like this is what is currently happening is not a long-term situation for FNS. So either he's thinking, damn, I need to get back on a team, or he's thinking, let's do Pro City. And if Pro City can work again, then that would be good, I think, for all involved. You guys probably know Pro City. If you guys aren't familiar, Tarik set up what was basically a Discord where all sorts of pro players could come in and they would set up tens between themselves, tens as in 10-man lobbies rather than, the play of the Sentinels. But it was a much better way to find and play these games than it was to drop into ranked with all the problems that is associated with that. Now, Pro City was great for quite some time. There was, of course, controversy because Tarik had to make a decision as to which players were allowed in. Sure, all the pros are allowed in, but what if you're a good amateur? What if you're in Tier 2? What if you've just won a certain tournament in Tier 2? You're going to be, everyone wants to get in there. But the issue is that some players would be approved, but then some pros didn't want to play with those guys. So they would queue dodge and, it caused a bit of a problem, right? And as Tarik said, we need a strict criteria for people coming in, a strong council. It's the only way it's going to work. Riot eventually actually said to Tarik, look, we like this, we're happy with it, and we might even fund it. But that never really happened, I think mainly because the season began, right? And this is the thing, it worked well in the off-season where players players weren't doing anything else, but then the season begins, they've got to actually grind and play the game. They don't have time to keep up with Pro City and play like that. Okay, it might still work, but it fizzled out somewhat. But now is surely the perfect time, especially with the issues that FNS is having and Tarik is having as well, to bring this back again. So, yeah, if FNS and Tarik can make this work, then that can hopefully be a good thing for the community and for the pros. But the problem is that if it doesn't work and if Pro City doesn't return for whatever reason, then FNS might think, you know what, I might have made a bit of a mistake here not playing, and he might be so desperate to play that he ends up in Tier 2. I don't know. He'll probably bide his time, but I just don't know if biding his time with Som is actually going to work at least mid-season. Next year, maybe, but mid-year, is any team going to blow up their roster and bring in those two guys and let them build their squad from scratch? That's not going to happen probably until next season, so he probably needs something that he enjoys playing. Just before we close out the video, I wanted to mention this from Trick, who also says he's considering not competing this year. I don't exactly know where he's from in the US, but clearly his internet where he lives isn't great, and he just can't afford to move out and actually get playable internet. So he's considering just saying, you know what, I might not compete this year. And this is also what he says, and I totally get this perspective, and it is frustrating to see. I just can't justify the time and effort it would take to potentially play challenges again just to not get paid. It doesn't add up. It's so easy to say, oh yeah, well, you'll get signed if you win, but you just don't know if that's even true. I wouldn't be surprised if even the top challenger teams aren't signed, and this is the problem for teams such as Turtle Troop. Great team on paper. They'll be pretty good this year, but they're entirely unsigned. There's no organization involved. They're not getting paid at all. And, you know, they have to justify all these living expenses and everything with the intention and the hope that they'll get signed by a pro team and it'll be all okay. But that's far from guaranteed. And there is a lot of people that are saying maybe Riot needs to step in and actually finance, at least somewhat subsidize this league so that the teams that aren't signed get some sort of stipend so they can actually live, because, you know, without a healthy tier 2, you don't get a healthy tier 1. But then again, without Riot doing that, a lot of players still will play for free because of the love of the game and for the vision to try and be the best in the world. So, you know, they probably wouldn't do anything, but it's definitely a debate that's being had over the last day or so. So very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.